The main thing that comes with being a huge NBA star isn't just the fame and the glory, it's the money. Though they might not get paid as much as you'd think, they do get paid quite a lot of money. Some NBA stars spend this reasonably, whilst others go down a different route. Today, we'll discuss the dumbest things NBA players have ever purchased. First up is Danny Granger and his very own Batcave. After getting lots of money from the NBA, it seems like Danny Granger has completed every child's dream. He built himself his very own personal Batcave. We don't know much about the room, but we do know that he at least started working on it. He said in interviews during 2008 that if he got his own house, he would build his own Batcave. Then in 2012, it seemed like he began working on it. Reports came out that he was working with contractors, but nothing was ever confirmed. We don't know if he actually made the thing, but it's a shock he even consulted with people on it. Next up is Gilbert Arenas and his huge and expensive fish tank. This next one is a pretty sad one, but the athlete did it to himself. Gilbert Arenas was once one of the highest ballers in the NBA and had a fortune. He had to stop his 6-year contract due to a knee injury. 2016 was the final year of his payout as they legally had to pay him for his contract. At this point, Arenas was basically bankrupt, which makes a lot of sense when you see what he bought with it all. The main one that people don't understand is his $1 million Shark Tank. He had to pay around $5,000 a month for food and a caretaker to look after them. This was just a stupid decision and ended up getting rid of the whole thing to sell his mansion. What a dumb purchase. Next up is Eddie Curry and his dumbfounding cable bill. Eddie Curry was at one point one of the highest paid athletes in the NBA league, but over time, his contract has fallen to a level that no one really batted an eye at. At one point, the player was really well known for being super bad with his money. He didn't seem to understand how much he should pay for things and was constantly in the news for overpaying for things. Dumbest thing he overpaid for was his cable bill. The expense was around $1,075 a month on his TV bill. This was just absurd, but they clearly didn't understand how bad this really was. Nowadays, he has a decent contract with the NBA and no one really thinks about what he does. Next up is Dennis Rodman and his huge record collection. Dennis Rodman is easily one of the most controversial players in NBA history and is constantly in the news for some of the dumb things he does and comes out with. The main one people still think about to this day is him going bankrupt even with his $50 million contract. He seems to be really dumb with his money, and it shows with what he did to his mansion. He bought an $8 million mansion for no real reason. The main takeaway from this was that 2/3 of this mansion was taken up by the player's insane record collection that he clearly couldn't let go. What an insane purchase just for some records. Next up is J.R. Smith and his very own private jeweler. J.R. Smith is one of the most lovable NBA players ever, and everyone seems to just get along with this guy. But as it comes with these NBA players who have lots of money, they love to splash out on some really dumb stuff every once in a while. J.R. Smith loves his jewelry so much that he bought his own jewelry company just to make his own bling. People found out about this because a Black Jesus piece went viral because it looked just like Smith himself. He seemingly owns his company for his own use, but you can easily get some jewelry from them. What an insane purchase. Next up is Joe Johnson and his room of sneakers. Joe Johnson is known for signing a $119 million contract with the NBA after making the 3rd highest team. With all this money, it seems he placed lots of it into his very own sneaker collection. Though this isn't the dumbest purchase, as he probably actually wears some of the shoes, the efforts placed into it is a little overkill. Only he's allowed to enter the room, and it has his own personal fingerprint system. The room is set at a specific temperature, and he even has a bed in there to nap. What an overkill purchase for a decently normal hobby. Next up is Al Jefferson and his comically large bed. Though we don't know too much about this bed, it seems like NBA player Al Jefferson got it for his insane height. The bed was purchased in order for him to rest easier as he's a whopping 6'10". This man is huge. So a large bed does make lots of sense. So what exactly is the dumb part about this? The dumbest part was the price and the actual size of the thing. The bed cost the player around $23,000. This is because the thing is 10 by 12 feet. This thing is huge. It's way bigger than the player player himself. Next up is Marquise Daniels and his very own piece of jewelry. Marquise Daniels is known for being a very good player during his time and establishing himself as one of the best bench players at the time. The biggest thing he's known for was what he didn't with the fortune he gathered. Though he wasn't the biggest of earners, he definitely earned a lot of money. Somehow it was a great idea for him to purchase a 3D pendant of his head that was coated in jewels and diamonds. That thing doesn't even really look like him, and it was just a dumb move from him. This level of ego is just too much. He clearly loves himself a little more than most people. This purchase was so stupid as he clearly doesn't earn as much as others. He should have invested. Next up is Scottie Pippen and his own private jet. This penultimate one was a pretty great idea on paper, but the athlete didn't think about the repercussions of doing it. Scottie Pippen is one of the most well-known NBA players in the world and has earned a fortune throughout his career. Biggest thing he splurged on was something really smart for his lifestyle. Scottie Pippen purchased his very own $3.4 million private jet. It's a good idea for someone who travels a lot and has this notoriety. The dumb part comes from what he did with the thing. He didn't think about how much it actually cost to run the thing, so sadly, the plane never left the ground. What a dumb purchase from this man. And finally, we have Robert Swift and his not-so-legal purchases. Robert Swift was a pretty good player when he was around. He played around 97 games during his seasons with the Sonics and the Thunders. Sadly, even with his decent earnings, nothing could stop this guy from falling into the deep end. Robert Swift was dealing with mental health issues and fell deep into drugs and alcohol. He was with the wrong crowd and eventually fell into bankruptcy. He had to foreclose his home, which was left in a poor state. Even though this is all ridiculous, it's a sad story and shows what this sort of money can do to a person who doesn't have it all right in the head. And that's the end of the list. These NBA players may live some luxurious lives and have lots of money, but at the end of the day, they are still normal people and didn't grow up with all of that money. Most people who earn more than usual will splash a little bit on something expensive or something special. People like NBA stars who have millions in the bank take this same thing to the extreme. They have a similar mindset to us all, but have more money to just throw around. This is why you see them buy expensive jewelry or some dumb purchases like we saw on this list. They just want to spend what they have to show off what they have earned. Most NBA stars are pretty smart with their cash and invest into property or stocks. They do have some expensive items just as any rich person does, but they don't splash out on some dumb spur-of-the-moment stuff. These smarter people think about their situation and what's going to happen in the future, like thinking about their contract and how their lives may be in a few years. They take all that into account before splashing out, unlike those we spoke about on today's list. And that's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe with notifications on. Thanks for watching. Bye.